On Moscow. Well, for more analysis of the Chinese leader's visit to Russia, let's now talk to Julian Lee. He's from the Centre for Global Energy Studies in London. Thanks for joining us here on RT. Now, China's fast becoming Russia's top trade partner. Is Moscow perhaps turning its back on crisis-stricken Europe by setting its eyes now on Asia?
I don't think so. I certainly don't see this as a sort of either-or type of situation. China ought to be a hugely important trade partner for Russia, both in energy terms and in general trade. These are two countries that for many decades shared a political ideology, at least to some extent. They share the longest land border in the world. They ought to be much greater partners than they are now. If we look ahead, Russia is extremely keen to develop its oil and gas resources in the east of the country. Exporting those anywhere other than Asia just doesn't make logistical or economic sense. So really this is about Russia spreading its wings. Everybody who can export anything is looking at the Asian market because that's where the growth is. I mean, this is a this is a very sensible and understandable move on the part of both countries.
Why has that move taken so long between the two countries, bearing in mind their neighbours?
I think historically there are several reasons. There's been a long history of mutual suspicion and distrust. Added to that, of course, until very recently, the focus of Russia's oil and gas industry has very much been in West Siberia. It's very much been built around a very large export infrastructure that has carried both oil and gas westwards into Europe. There are very long and robust relationships, I think, between Russia and European countries. And it's only very recently, I think, that China's energy demand has got to a level where it needs to look at substantial volumes of imported oil and gas. And I think that's why this is happening now.
Talking of that robust relationship between Russia and Europe, of course, big opportunity now for Russia in Europe with Germany abandoning its nuclear energy production.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, Germany's plans are to phase out its nuclear generating capacity over the next 11 years is potentially a very big boost for Russian gas exports. It comes at a time when Russia is about to complete the first phase of a pipeline under the Baltic Sea, with a second phase to follow. If we get a big surge in German gas demand, as some people expect, the German government has said that it wants to meet the supply that currently comes from the nuclear industry by a combination of reducing overall electricity demand and meeting the rest of it with renewables. But that's perhaps a bit of a stretch, which I think leaves plenty of opportunity for increased gas sales from Russia.
Well, let's talk about this deal, though, with China at the moment. The Chinese leader, he's visited Gazprom, and they're talking about this big deal at the moment. How soon can we expect an agreement between Russia and China? Because there clearly are some differences between the countries over the gas prices at the moment, aren't there?
There are, and I think this is perhaps more of a concern than people are letting on at the moment, because we had a very similar agreement to the one that's being signed now, that was signed a year ago, and a similar agreement to that was signed a year previously. And every time, the one sticking point really has been the gas price. And every year we've heard that the deal has moved closer, there's political unity on the deal, and the one sticking point is the price, and that will be sorted out over the next 12 months or by the end of the current year. And here we are another year on, and we're hearing the same thing again. The Chinese are still saying that they don't want to pay more than $250 per 1,000 cubic meters. As your report said, Gazprom at the moment is looking for just over $300. That will rise as oil prices rise. Gazprom's position has been that it wants gas sales to China to be as profitable as gas sales to Europe, and that has been a big sticking point. And at the moment, one side or the other is going to have to move on this if the deal is to turn from being a grand political aspiration to a hard nuts and bolts sales and purchase contract.
Just finally, all the talk of massive lucrative trade deals, commerce deals between Russia and China in the near future. Just how much will the rest of the global economy benefit from those deals? Bearing in mind, of course, so many countries in severe economic difficulties at the moment. Will the rest of the world benefit? I'm
not sure. I mean, I think that growing trade internationally is always a good thing. It depends how tightly controlled this is. Government-to-government deals are always problematic for the rest of the world. It's unclear at the moment whether anyone else will benefit significantly from this agreement, but let's wait and see.
Really interesting to hear what you have to say. Thanks for your time. Julian Lee, energy analyst, joining us there from the Centre for Global Energy Studies in London. Thank you.